Hello ladies and mostly gentlemen, my name is David K. Martin and you are now listening to the Maple Leaf Wrestling History Podcast, the world's first True North Wrestling podcast. And because this show is powered by Red Circle, I want to offer you fine folks the opportunity to have your demands fulfilled in audio form. So as I make my way through history unearthing various facts, stats, feds, and matches, I wanted to lay it down for you guys like this. If you donate any sum of money to the show, literally anything, I will do a show on any Canadian-related subject matter of discussion you want to hear. So if you aren't feeling what I have to say right now, or you want to skip ahead of the timelines, or perhaps you would either prefer a character bio or a specific match or show review, done. You want a book review? Done. You want me to review a Benoit, Omega, or Phil LaFon match in Japan? Fuck it. Done. All this and more could be yours at Maple Leaf Wrestling History. Remember, all donations are measured equally in God's eyes, and you can find the show on YouTube or any of your podcast gimmicks. Now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
Hey everybody, it's Sam from Wrestling Overtime, and I was going to give you one great big show on news and updates that have happened in the last week or so, and then I got to thinking, no, there have been two pay-per-views. There have been Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, and then the one that we're going to talk about today, WWE's Extreme Rules, the horror show. And so I decided to break them up in three easy peasy bites that you guys can consume when you're driving somewhere, and you can get filled in on what happened, but also my raves and rants about, the news and updates on Impact Wrestling and, of course, on this show. Extreme Rules, the horror show, and that's basically what it turned out to be. It turned out to be a horror show. It happened on July 19th, on Sunday, and oh my, I don't even really know where to start and what to say, and that's saying a lot because you guys know I like to talk, but let's start with Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro beating the New Day in a tables match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. I actually thought that this was a pretty good match. I have told you before, Cesaro is one of my favorite underrated wrestlers. I am happy that he is finally getting some TV time in a good way. He deserves the tag team title belts. I wish that Sheamus wouldn't have gotten hurt and they wouldn't have disbanded the Bar, because I really liked them as a tag team. I am not as infatuated, however, with Nakamura. I liked the Nakamura I saw in YouTube videos and when I would watch New Japan. He seemed like a completely different wrestler. I don't know if it's where he was younger or he had more freedom over there. I'm not exactly sure what it was, but I don't really like him in WWE. You guys know how I feel about the New Day. Of course, this is basically probably going to be a setup to give them the belts for the 9th time. And if so, you guys are going to hear me gripe about it, because I do not want them to have the tag team belts 20 times and them be in the talk of one of the greatest wrestling tag teams ever, because I don't think they are. And just because you have a lot of tag team title belt reigns doesn't necessarily mean you were a great tag team. It means you won the belts a lot and you also lost them a lot. Could I think the New Day stand up with someone like the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express? How about the Four Horsemen? Some of the Road Warriors. Could you see them going up against the Road Warriors, the Von Erichs? I don't know. They're going to end up being not a doubt in my mind, in the top 10. And they definitely deserve to be. Do they need to be top 3, top 1? No. I can't do it. FTR or the Revival, whatever you're calling them, are better than them. I don't know. However, this was a decent match. Glad to see Cesaro get a belt back on. We had Apollo Crews versus MVP. Well, in case you didn't hear, this didn't happen. Apollo Crews hasn't been seen, around WWE's Performance Center since June 29th. Now, this took place, they taped it a little earlier, but this was supposed to be taking place on July 19th. So, almost a month. And at Extreme Rules, they explained that he had failed his pre-match physical and therefore couldn't compete. Well, come on. We all know that he wasn't even there. Numerous people reported that he wasn't even there. So, of course, we've got MVP, and he goes out and declares himself champion, states that Apollo Crews has forfeited, and now he has the belt, which is the new Intercontinental Championship belt that has been made. Do I like this storyline? I'm going to talk about this type of storyline in just a little bit later in this episode. But do I like it for this particular Apollo Crews versus MVP? Yes. To a point. MVP, I feel like now I know who he is. If you listen to previous episodes, I griped and complained when he first come back. I didn't know who he was. Was he a backstage producer? Was he trying to run the VIP lounge? Was he going to be a manager? Was he going to be a wrestler? Who is he? Seems like somebody gave him some direction, or he took it himself. It wouldn't surprise me from MVP. But I do like that he is taking control. He is trying to get a stable together. Do I like that he has the belt? I really expected him to take the belt when this started, I guess 6 weeks ago, but it being Lashley that actually got the belt, that would be wearing the belt. I never dreamed that it would be MVP. So I think that's the thing that maybe throws me a little bit, is that, MVP. And I know they're portraying that this belt is second tier, and Bobby Lashley, of course, wants the World Championship. He doesn't need to have the World Championship anytime soon. He's just not a WWE World Champion, and they should have gave him a second tier belt and saw maybe what he could do with it. So then we get, Bayley and Nikki Cross. Now, as much as, I don't know, January, February, I was against these two, I have came to really enjoy them. So I am backtracking. I'm walking this back, as the politicians say. Let's start with Nikki Cross. I enjoyed her psychopath character. Her being crazy, manipulative, you never knew what she was going to do, shaking the ropes, coming flying out of nowhere, that she would set people up. I enjoyed that, and when she first come up into the main roster, I didn't like her getting with Alexa Bliss. I thought, oh, they're taking my sociopath away, my psychopath, and I really want her to keep that. However, since coming to the main roster, they have slowly turned her babyface, and I have enjoyed that. I enjoyed this match. I enjoyed how she worked. I think if we had crowds right now, that the WWE Universe would be in love with Nikki Cross. She's got a fighter, underdog spirit about her. She is very exuberant. She gets excited. She doesn't care to clap along with the crowd or to get them pumped up or to jump up on a table and wave to them and get excited. She would be the ultimate babyface if we had crowds right now. So I absolutely love her. Let's talk about Bayley. You know, I liked when Bayley cut her hair. I still like it. I think it's a great haircut. You know, a lot of people were saying, oh my God, she cut her hair. No, I liked it from the beginning. I glad that she toned down the makeup in the corners of making the mascara go halfway down her nose. But I really wanted them to keep Bayley pure and have a smart aleck on the edge side like John Cena. Wanted her to stay, you know, babyface, smart aleck basically. However, when they started the hugger routine stuff, they gave her, you know, the dancing blow up men and all of that. I thought that was going too far. It was almost like they were promoting her to 2-year-olds. 2-year-olds do not watch wrestling, and that's not the demographic you're going after. WWE, let's focus. The demographic you're going after is 18 to 49. You should not be promoting anything to 2-year-olds. And honestly, you should not be real excited that your only win in the demographic department is 50 plus. So you need to get it together as far as that goes. But them turning Bayley heel may have been one of the best decisions that whoever made it has made. She has turned into the ultimate heel. She plays it very well. I knew that she had that smart aleck, smart cracking side about her, just like John Cena, and she has totally taken that over the edge, being a heel, and adding, you know, Sasha Banks as her running mate has just gave her even more credibility and helped her with her cheating and all that. That's what I mean by her being an ultimate heel. Not only is in her promo she's saying heel stuff, she's doing heel stuff in the ring. Cheating, hurting people, being mean, taking shots. I mean, she is going after Michael Cole, and I love it. So this was a good match, and of course, you know, she had to end up kind of cheating to keep her belt, and that's fine with me because that kept Nikki strong, and I look for her to continue to be up in the upper division of the women's division for quite a while. Do they need a rematch at SummerSlam? No, probably not. But, you know, come October, November, you know, Nikki Cross needs to be back in the title picture. Then we had Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio. What do I say about that? To a point, I feel sorry for Rey Mysterio. For him, after the career he has had, to have to go through this. He's working without a contract. there's going to be a generation that remembers this work with Seth Rollins, and this storyline has been garbage. This eye for an eye stuff is craziness. It's well known that Vince McMahon came up with this garbage. It's almost like he's a 12-year-old little boy that loves fart jokes. Vince, is a 74-year-old man that should have grown out of that a long time ago, but obviously he hasn't, because, we had Robert Stone throwing up, 3 weeks ago in NXT with Rhea Ripley, and now we have Seth Rollins, who was supposed to be this Messiah who is punishing people for the greater good to get them to believe and get with the program. So when he finally gets Rey Mysterio's head and he shoves his eye into the corner of the steps, he vomits. I think Vince McMahon wanted that as a ha-ha. They should have played it as Seth is a real man. He can't believe what he done. He didn't believe it was that gross. He couldn't believe that he had done that. But no, WWE can't do that. And it is my understanding that Vince even wanted CGI to pop the eyeball out and have it go rolling across the floor, and people had to talk him out of that. And if that is true, that is sad. But they've kind of left it open, and whether Ray is going to get to come back, whether he could have surgery, whether he'll have to wrestle with one side of his mask closed because he doesn't have an eye. I don't know. I know that Ray right now doesn't want to leave WWE because he doesn't want Vince McMahon hurting his son's future as far as Dominic being in the WWE and learning. But this match, just really, really sad. Really, I don't know. I know that basically they are leading up to a Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins match, probably at SummerSlam, where, Seth tries to get Kevin Owens back for WrestleMania. Then we had Asuka versus Sasha Banks. These two are excellent wrestlers. They have great chemistry together. I just hated how it ended. I loved that they have brought back the green mist for Asuka. I absolutely love that. I think that's wonderful. I think they never should have did away with it. You guys heard me in previous episodes saying, where's the green mist? I like that they set it up that she hit the referee with it. In my opinion, they have 100 billion referees, in the back. Have one of them run out there, disqualify her, and she continues with her, championship and goes on. But no, WWE has to convolute things and have Bayley get in there and put on a referee shirt and count 1, 2, 3 and have this weird ending where we don't know who won, and Sasha ends up taking Asuka's belt. So that leads me to where I kind of want to talk about this, because it's almost like they had a convention and all of the promotions said, let's steal belts, let's use that all the time, let's create belts that don't really exist, let's do all of this. sit down and think about it. And I'm being honest, sit down and think about it. Impact Wrestling, due to the fact that Tessa Blanchard was in Mexico, couldn't defend the Impact World Championship, they just got the TNA World Heavyweight Championship belt out of the closet and gave it to Moose. And Moose is now defending it. It's his belt. He actually thinks he's a champion. It's a non-existent, retired belt. But it is a belt being defended and running around. AEW. Number one, Jericho's belt got stolen, at, what was it, Longhorn? Anyway, they now have Taz, who has introduced the FTW belt, and gave that to Brian Cage. Again, an unrecognized belt they created that he's running around with. That he, didn't deserve, that, no one looks at it, and they're running around. We have WWE Raw. Now Sasha Banks has taken Asuka's belt and is running around with it. Does she deserve it? Does she need it? No. It's a little ridiculous. We'll get to in the next episode in news and updates what they decided to do about this. But, this is a pay-per-view. I expected a pay-per-view finish. I don't expect a screwy finish that you're going to finish up in 2 weeks on Raw. People didn't pay $9.99 to see this. This is stupid. Then you see, basically, MVP created his own belt because, again, Apollo Crews hasn't been available, so he created his own belt. He's walking around declaring himself the champion. So it's going on everywhere. Like I said, it's like they had a convention and they all decided to do this. It's a little much and it's a little ridiculous and it's overdone, especially when you're tuning in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and almost every single show you're watching, it's happening. And it's a little much. Like I said, you're kind of wanting to be over it. Now, the match that was supposed to be, I guess, the main event, the match of the night, the one that everybody goes and talks about the very next morning or rushes to their keyboard and goes on the internet, goes on Reddit, goes on, Facebook groups and wants to talk about, was supposed to be the Wyatt Swamp fight. It wasn't. Well, people wanted to talk about it. They wanted to talk about how it was garbage. Here you've got Braun, you've got Bray. They have a history. It's been documented, millions of times of their history. And they just didn't deliver. They had a cinematic match that they taped, obviously, and edited. So you have time. You have time to get the shots you want. TV shows make sure it's perfect. In the editing, they make sure that it's right. But WWE did this. They did their first cinematic match and found out people actually like it. And you think about it. It's been on NXT TakeOver. It's been on Money in the Bank. It's been Extreme Rules. We had 2 of them at WrestleMania. Come on. Bray Wyatt has been in 3 of them. Think about that. He's been in 3 of them. And they just started doing them in April, and it's July. So in 3 months, Bray's been in 3 of them. And all 3 of them, have had stupid endings that have no conclusion. They're, really almost like a watered down ending that doesn't really live up to anything. Because when you think about it, John Cena versus Bray Wyatt was a mind trip. You were in John Cena's head as Bray took him to all of his worst moments. And a lot of people want to say, well, Bray Wyatt defeated him. Did he? It was in John Cena's head. So, did he really? Then he had a cinematic match with Braun, and it ended up, again, having the puppets, Braun faking Bray out on whether or not he was going to come back and join the family. And then Bray took off while he had his second child with JoJo. And then they had this swamp fight, which I think really was, I don't know, it's almost like the cinematic match is overdone. And they're not taking the time to finish it and really create an ending. The build-up was, pretty decent when you watched the match, but the end, it left you hanging. Why did it leave you hanging? Because SummerSlam's coming up, and the rumor is that we're headed for a rubber match of Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam, with Bray Wyatt being the Fiend, since he, said something close to that. He showed the Fiend at the end. So, I look for the Fiend to win and win the belt at SummerSlam, but just unbelievable garbage. So, did I particularly like this pay-per-view? It had its moments. It had some really good wrestling. It had some really good build-up. It was just a big letdown in the finishes. And it wasn't because they weren't finishes that I liked. Because that's not even how I'm looking at it. A lot of the people I like as a fan won. But the finishes weren't really set in stone. There wasn't really a winner. And if you're going to do that on a pay-per-view, you cannot decide the actual ending in 2 weeks or 3 weeks on a Raw. It's got to be the next pay-per-view. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, I want to hear from you. What exactly are you thinking? Write me at wrestlingovertime@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter or on our Facebook page, Wrestling Overtime. Let me know what you think of this pay-per-view. Did you like it? Or were you kind of disappointed in it? I mean, I was left holding my hands up going, what did I just see? How did you feel? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to working overtime for you, the fan, and I'm going to be doing the next episode of news and updates, and I will talk to you soon.